Hello everyone, today we are going to learn about one of the most important scheme launched by Government of India. Scheme HRIDAY. What is HRIDAY scheme? HRIDAY full form is National Heritage City Development and Augmentation Yojana. On 21st January 2015, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs introduced the HRIDAY scheme, officially known as the National Heritage City Development and Augmentation Yojana. The primary objective of this scheme is to safeguard and revive the abundant cultural heritage of the nation. The HRIDAY Yojana, being a central sector scheme, relied solely on funding from the central government. It had a project duration of 4 years, starting in December 2014 and concluding in March 2019. A total allocation of 500 crores rupees was planned for the successful execution of the scheme. The primary objective of the HRIDAY scheme was to preserve the unique character of heritage cities while promoting urban development with a strong heritage focus. The scheme involved collaborative efforts between the central government and respective state governments in planning, developing, implementing, and managing 12 selected heritage cities. The scheme aimed to conserve and develop heritage sites and focused on urban planning and fostering inclusive economic growth. Statement of HRIDAY scheme. The scheme statement provided in the draft of the HRIDAY Yojana was: preserve and revitalize the soul of the heritage city to reflect the city's unique character by encouraging aesthetically appealing, accessible, informative and secured environment. To undertake strategically and planned development of heritage cities to improve the overall quality of life, focusing on sanitation, security, tourism, heritage revitalization and livelihoods retaining the city's cultural identity. The objectives of the HRIDAY Yojana are as follows. The scheme aimed to plan, develop and implement several heritage-sensitive infrastructures. For the tourists to connect directly with the city's unique character, the HRIDAY scheme aimed to preserve and revitalize the heritage sites. To implement and enhance basic amenities and services such as public conveniences, toilets, street lights, water taps, and employment of modern technologies to improve tourist facilities. To enhance the local capacity to achieve inclusive heritage-based industry. To provision service delivery and infrastructure in the core areas of the historic cities. To create effective linkages between tourism and cultural facilities and conserve natural and constructed heritage. To rehabilitate and maintain the urban heritage and inculcate appropriate technologies for retrofitting historic buildings. To establish and manage effective public-private partnerships for adaptive urban rehabilitation. To make cities informative using modern ICT tools and secure them with modern surveillance and security apparatus like CCTV, etc. To increase the physical as well as intellectual access to these heritage cities. Following are the 12 heritage cities listed under the HRIDAY scheme for development. Ajmer, Amravati, Amritsar, Badami, Dwarka, Gaya, Kachipuram, Mathura, Puri, Varanasi, Velankanni, Warangal, indicative components of HRIDAY scheme. Documentation and mapping of heritage assets were conducted to create a heritage management plan. This involved listing tangible and intangible heritage assets and mapping them using Geographical Information System, GIS. Heritage revitalization was connected to service provision, such as organizing cultural events, fairs, festivals, and establishing museums. It aimed to integrate heritage sites with various services at the community and city levels. Knowledge management and skill development were other important components. This included creating websites, city maps, catalogs, brochures, digital display boards, and direction pillars. Skill development programs were also implemented for local guides, artisans, and tour operators. Implementation of HRIDAY scheme. The HRIDAY scheme was planned, developed, and implemented under the Ministry of Urban Development. The National Institute of Urban Affairs was the national project management unit. Various institutional structures were established at the national level and city urban local body levels for implementing the HRIDAY scheme. They are as follows. At the national level, HRIDAY National Empowered Committee, abbreviated as HNEC, was established to provide overall sanctions, guidance, and advisory role to the scheme. It was co-chaired by the Ministry of Urban Development's Secretary and the respective state's Chief Secretary. The Mission Directorate was empowered to carry out activities such as preparing heritage management plans, investment plans, and implementing schemes through various NGOs and public works organizations. He was assisted technically by the National Institute of Urban Affairs, which was proposed to act as the national-level project management unit. At city urban local body level, city level, advisory and monitoring committees were established to oversee, review and monitor the performance of the HRIDAY scheme at the local level. It also recommended mid-course correction in the implementation tools as and when required. Even at the city level, the Mission Directorate was constituted, and it acted as a full-fledged project implementation unit working as an extended arm of the national-level Mission Directorate.